here with Billy McLaughlin, who is one of the featured speakers today. So, Billy, I hear this is your first time back to Atlanta in a while.
It's been a long time. The last time I played here was a little place called the Variety Playhouse. Heard of that?
Yeah, I was there the other night to see Martin Sexton.
Oh yeah, one of our favorites. Yeah, cool. I'm sure that was a great show. Yeah, it's been over 10 years, and the last time I played here in Atlanta, I was a right-handed guitar player.
I noticed your guitar is kind of pointed the opposite way of how you'd normally expect to see it.
Yeah, if you had told me the last time I came off stage at the Variety that I'd get to come back to Atlanta, but I'd have to learn the guitar with my other hand before I'd be allowed to come back, I would have thought you were crazy, because that would have been an impossible thing. But it was not long after that show at the Variety that actually the tour that I was on was for my second album for Narada. And after that tour, man, I started having weird problems with my hands. And I thought, maybe I have carpal tunnel or something. Musicians we're athletes in a way.
Sure.
We get injuries and we got to take care of ourselves. And I thought, okay, I must have a tendon problem or something. And I got evaluated, and they said, no, your hand is fine. And I couldn't explain why I was having so much trouble playing my guitar. And it turns out, it took me about 3 years to find out what I had, which is this weird incurable neuromuscular disorder called dystonia.
Wow.
And it's a pretty lousy thing to have if you're a musician.
It's like right at your tools.
Yeah, and it hit me kind of, right at the peak of everything. There was, an international recording contract, there was distribution, there was some, limited radio play because, what I do is more of an artsy thing than it is kind of a commercial thing. I think instrumental music is always going to kind of live on the fringe, but it's one of my passions, so, and the main focus of how I play the guitar. So it was, it was a real career ender for me. It was a real buzzkill also, to lose your music right when things were starting to kind of come together was really tough.
So obviously with it pointing the other way, and I mean, you're here performing, so you found a way around it.
Yeah.
What was the gist of how you got past that?
Even though I kind of knew early on that something really serious was going on, I tried to fix it and to try to find a way to keep playing right-handed. It was just so intuitive that was how I should be playing. But I kind of did know early on that if I was ever going to play the kind of music people know me for, which is this weird tapping style on the neck, that I was probably going to have to do kind of the unthinkable, which was, take a guitar and convert it into a left-handed guitar where they have to rearrange the strings, so that the bass strings are where you would expect them. And I had to start over, TEDx, this TEDx is all about relearning. And so what I had to do was, I never forgot the music. I knew the music.
Sure.
I just couldn't play it. And so this idea of having to relearn something you already know, well, that had a lot to do with me, having to kind of train my body to be able to play the music at that level that I was at was, it was unbelievable. To try to get back into the major leagues, let's say, when you were a left-handed pitcher to begin with, and you try to make a comeback as a right-handed pitcher, it doesn't happen.
Impossible on paper, right?
Well, and that there's the lesson right there. What I learned through this whole thing is that what we're convinced is impossible sometimes is just what we haven't tried. What we haven't. When I first got after this, I gave up a bunch of times because it really did feel like it was going to be impossible to ever play at a level where I could, people tend to kind of close their eyes and kind of drift off when they hear me play. And I thought, if I can't get people into that place as an artist, I don't really want to kid myself.
Sure.
I don't want to do this as a hobby or come out and play and have people feel like, oh, we want to hear him just, as a novelty act or something.
And it's hard enough to make it in that business with all your faculties, and there are stunning talents among the independent artists
and
who you and I have never even heard of.
Right, and insane competition for that entertainment, attention and media attention and everything else. So no, this is the biggest challenge of my life, was to try to find a way to get back to playing at a level where you're moving people. People, when they listen to instrumental music, I think you've got them in a really great place, because it doesn't matter what the lyrics are about, that anything can apply to your life. You know, when I play, I'm hoping that you're getting something from me that relates to you, and you do that as the listener. So
yeah. One of my personal favorites is Otmar Liebert.
Oh yeah, he was doing the flamenco thing.
Like,
yeah,
I remember seeing him at center stage, and like in the round was just stunning to watch that guy sit and just play the flamenco guitar.
Yeah,
I mean, like you could literally almost hear words to the music. It had such a beautiful
meaning,
melody.
Meaning. There's meaning behind it. In fact, I think, you know, what I love about music is it's a way of communicating things that we don't have words for, and I really mean that. I think there's so many profound things we haven't figured out how to describe them or talk about them, and through music we get to share them, you know. And that, you know, for me, talking about Otmar Liebert, for me it was I was like 11 years old, and I caught Santana on a PBS program.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who he was, but I saw this guy with his eyes closed and his head back, and he was playing, and I could hear I could hear like what he was saying. I felt something from it, and I said, you know, that's cool. There's something in music for me that I want to pursue. And so, you know, to feel like I got disconnected from my purpose and my meaning in my life, I mean, I think anybody listening can agree that that's a pretty precarious place, no matter what your profession is or what your passion is. When you get disconnected, you kind of become a lost soul out there, and I was definitely a lost soul for a long time, but it's coming back. I'm feeling like and to be asked to be at TEDxAtlanta is, like I said, it's almost beyond my imagination.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be the embodiment of relearn, right? So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, too, whenever you have to relearn something, it implies that you've, and I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I had to face the fact that I became utterly inept at something that I love to do and that I was really good at. And that's also kind of challenges our own, you know, self-esteem and our own ability to kind of battle our own confidence level, I guess. So you have to, I guess at some point, you know, you have to be able to be honest with yourself and say, yeah, look, I'm a broken down guitar player. But if I could do it once, you know, maybe I could do it again. Maybe I can find another way.